All right, it looks like everything is up and running. Hello, everybody. Let me just close this window on my right that's showing me the live stream of what I did 20 seconds ago, because that's going to confuse and disorient me for the remainder of this. If I don't, I am OdatNurd, and welcome to this fourth, if that thumbnail was correct, live stream on Sublime Text Live Package Decoding. Going to be doing some HyperHelp related things once again tonight. And as a note and a reminder, this is of course going to be set as a 2-hour time once we get rolling and into things. And I'm also going to be talking a little bit about the schedule for upcoming live streams in the month of November. So, of course, we realize it has been my plan to do one live stream a week through October, then 2 live streams a week through November on Saturdays and Wednesdays at this same time slot, 8 p.m. PST, in preparation for doing a 1-hour live stream every single day through the month of December to cover my Devember project, which is going to be something Sublime Text related. I haven't quite nailed it down yet. I have a few ideas, though. And with the 1st of November being on a Thursday, if I am remembering correctly, because I haven't flipped my desk calendar uh, over yet to be able to show me the upcoming month, I'm going to do the first live stream of November on the 1st of November. So that will be on Thursday, and then again on Sunday, and then we'll go into the Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday time schedule. And those will be 2-hour live streams, much like this one. The ones in December covering Devember will be 1-hour minimums instead of 2-hour minimums, but we'll see what happens. So, get business out of the way. Do you like watching this live coding environment type thing? You want to subscribe to this channel if you are a Sublime Text package developer that wants to, or aspiring package developer, I should say, that wants to watch this, watch me stumble through developing things. I tend to talk to myself and try to teach while I'm going along, so these videos have extra utility. You can subscribe to this channel. There should be a subscribe button somewhere down below. Use the bell notification icon if you want to know when new videos come up on this channel. This is my personal channel. I only do live streams here, so you're probably only going to see notifications most of the time for when the archives for live streams pop up or when live streams are scheduled, if you so care. If you would rather see pre-recorded videos, then you should jump over to my other channel, the OdatNurd channel. There should be a link down in the description. That channel is also Sublime Text related, but those are all videos that are pre-recorded and then uploaded. They are more planned out than these freeform ones and not quite so epically long. And of course, you can subscribe to both channels should the mood take you. So what do we actually want to do here? I spent a lot of time while I was on my morning walk this morning, uh, alternating between being sad that I was dressed in full rain gear and it didn't actually rain like it was supposed to, what I wanted to actually do during this live stream, because I originally wanted to fix linting of help because it is currently broken. And by way of explanation for that, if I knew where this was, I think if I do a hyperhelp author lint this help file index, we can see that I'm getting warnings about unknown anchors and that links are referencing unknown anchors in this file. And an example of that is that link there, which makes sense because in the source file, this is what the link looks like. But up here, this is what it actually appears like in the file. And this is, of course, a side effect of how prior to changes from last week's live stream, the text of a link and was it also its topic ID, and now we have the ability to link to things in other packages and any topic and any text we want. So trivially or non-trivially, because it's been a long time since I looked at the authoring tools, the linter needs to change for anchors and for links to use those new parsing routines instead of just blindly grabbing the text and going with it. That's something that's standing in my way with regards to using this new functionality in the snappy help files, because I use the linter quite actively in that particular case to make sure that I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing and everything is working as expected. But I also want to do work on the syntax and make changes there. Um, Lots of changes, as it turns out. Um, this syntax is short, not particularly good. Some problems with it, besides the fact that it's probably doing things not that particular well, is we're seeing things like this: header key pairs in files, which are these that specify the title of the page and the date that it was last modified, are being, they have, this is the meta key right there, like so, but we can see that it also has a storage type of class. It's not really what that's supposed to be, but in order to have its syntax highlighted, it's injecting scopes that aren't necessarily needed. Similarly, in links, we can see this is a text hyperhelp help meta link, but also it's storage, because I wanted links to be read, and in Monakai, the storage scope is red. So these scopes need to be really reworked quite a bit, and the whole syntax needs to be reworked to be better, which has knock-on effects to how syntax highlighting is going to work in these buffers. And I wanted to work on that as well. And then I started getting off on what if I, the idea of what if I created a color scheme directly from an existing color scheme to add in scopes, and wanted to do that. But let's try to take things through step by step. And before we get started, if you have been following the live streams, then you will have seen me working on anchors and links over the last couple of weeks. One thing that was missing at the end of last week was the pop-up for when you hover over a link, because much like the linter is broken because it made that assumption that the link text is the link ID for the topic that it's looking up, the hover pop-up was similarly broken. So I actually did a fair amount of work this week behind the scenes on this, on that, and on other aspects of the code as well. Now, all of the post-processing of a help file is all individual commands, which is something that I mentioned would probably a good idea to do. And I changed the setting that links are using. So instead of the setting being well, actually, I think I can maybe, if I remember how to do it, if I did view.settings.get hhlinks, I think I called it. Yes, we can see this used to be a dictionary where the keys were string versions of the very first character in the link text, and the values were the dictionaries that said what topic is associated with that. That was expedient to make sure that things were going to work that I wanted to work, but I don't like that, didn't like that both as a final solution, because it's brittle. It required that links be the last thing to be post-processed, because the locations it's storing need to be the last and final, position. Otherwise, things get all out of hand. If you watch that stream, you saw that happening. So I modified it so that this setting is now a list, and each entry in the list is a topic, and they're ordered according to the order of the links in the buffer. So now to follow a link, it doesn't grab this text and use that as the topic. That's what it used to do way back when. That doesn't work anymore. It doesn't grab the region of this and use its starting location as an index into that tree to see, or the dictionary to see which topic is it's for. What it actually does is look to see of all of the regions that are links, what index in that list that this link is, and then use that as a direct lookup. So that was something I did, and also I modified hover pop-ups as well, so they work. So these are the sorts of things. I did some more reworking on that. These are kind of ugly. More work needs to be done on those as well, but they're functional, and that's what I want. So here are some examples of what we see. This is a link to a topic in another package. So the part above the line where it says threading, that's the caption of this particular link in the index of the help file, and we can see it links to the Sublime API package in the file general.txt for the topic threading, because I want all of these links to tell you where they're going. This is an example of a link that links to another package, but the topic is missing in the index. In that case, we can say what the package is and we can say what the topic is. We can't say what file is missing because looking up the topic in the index is what tells you what the file is. And here's another example of the same thing. This is now in this current package instead of in an external package, so we can see it works the same as it would have up here, only now the package is the user package, which is the package that contains this particular help file. Now, for more normal links, the command build. This is another file in my user help. I have, I think I mentioned before, this copy of the Sublime unofficial API docs for commands. And so this is telling me now, because this link is inside this same package, it just tells me the file and the topic. It doesn't need to tell me the package because that's inferred to be the current one. And similarly, this topic is the header of this very file, so it doesn't need to tell me the package. It doesn't even need to tell me the file. It just is the link up there. And these last ones are, well, this one is a URL, which that has always worked as far as I know. And links to package files also similarly always worked, but what I did add was the ability to detect if the link is broken because it's referencing a package file that doesn't exist. So here, the package's default math.py file doesn't exist. It's actually the arithmetic command. So those are some other things that I did just throughout the week, just so you don't think that you might have missed out on something. And all of that code has been pushed up to I want to say Stack Overflow, but no, GitHub holds my code. Stack Overflow is where I answer questions. So the first thing that I'm going to do tonight, and we'll see what the 2 hours is going to get us. I haven't done that yet. This is still the business up front. Is we're going to clean up this syntax a bit, and then from there, let's just take a look in on if I can easily fix what I need to fix in the linter, because it has been a long time since I looked at that linter code. I may have to scan through it again. And there's another thing that I want to do for help files, which is implement something in the symbol list to make navigating in a help file easier. As we can see right now, none of the symbols are indexed. I'd like the title of the page to be indexed, and I'd also like to add a new style of anchor for headings, which is actually something I played with this week, and I rolled it in along with some syntax changes I was trying to make for cleanup, and then I decided I didn't want to do that, and I just categorically tossed it all in the bin. So we're going to have to start from scratch. So let's go ahead and jump over here. I'm going to start the official 2-hour live stream timer now, and let's see what we can do here. So there aren't very many contexts here, and this is actually a pretty simplistic syntax. We're going to skip over that for a minute and that for a minute because those have to do with detecting those in that header in a file and this header in a file when it has been loaded. And the rest of this in the body is actually the rules for the language such as it is. So we can see this is the rule for making a comment. This is the rule for making a key binding. This is block markup, uh, beginning and ending, and several kinds because we can embed syntax highlighting in these things. Excuse me. Raw code blocks, and then we have links, anchors, hidden anchors, and separators, which is something that really needs to also be fixed. It basically applies the scope to vertical pipes, dashes, and pluses and equal signs. This is itself example of a header, a separator, if I recall correctly. And storage.what, because I was testing something way back when and accidentally checked it in. So that's unfortunate. So realistically, I mean, it's not terrible, but it doesn't flow well. And also, I have variables defined that don't necessarily need to be variables. And for the most part, we're going to ignore for the time being how this does not particularly, let's even these two things out, close that. This is not particularly, probably good regular expressions either. So the main context is the context where uh, the syntax begins in. So I have a couple of rules here. These only ever match on the first line of the file. And then after that, it jumps into the body. And uh, rules in syntaxes basically are there's a context, that's a stack, a context stack. Yeah, that's probably a better way to say that. The first entry is main, so all of the rules in main are the only rules that are used. You can push another context onto the stack to change the rules. You can pop out of an entry on the stack to a prior entry, and you can do a set, which is like a pop followed by a push. So basically it's also rename or reset, if you will. Set the context on this one switches from main to body because once we do this header stuff, we don't need to go back to the main context anymore. And the authoring header is slightly more complicated because it has this header key pairs section as well. I don't really like how that is an underscore. So let's go ahead and tweak that to be a dash. Whoops, but let's do it correctly. How did I do that? Oh, because there's a colon there. Okay, well, let's do it again. There we go. Header dash key pairs. Okay, save. Oh, let's go ahead and do that and move this over here. So I have persistent console to refer to. Should I so desire? Regular syntaxes or the default syntaxes tend to use dashes in context names, so I want to follow that same sort of thing. Now let's also say help source header as a context, and that's the author header, which is this, and we'll just pull this down like so. And if I save that, the header, the file on the right goes away because that rule no longer exists. But I can include help source header and bring it back. That just makes that look a little nicer. And does this really need to be a variable? I don't really think so. I'm gonna, whoops, cut the whole thing, delete that, and come down here and replace that variable with this. think variables really help in cases where you're going to reuse them a bunch of times, but otherwise it's not as helpful as it could be. You can easier, I find, now that I've worked with this syntax for a while, to see the regular expression and know what it's doing more than just seeing the variable, because there's more variation in the syntax highlighting here. So that works that. Now, of course, header key pair, I think that's also only appears once. So let's cut that out. Change this one as well. That still works. And what would we call the other one if that's the help source header? I'll just say help header, I suppose. And even though that says expanded header, put that there. Now the header in this file will go away. I would have thought. Oh, it did, right. The title and the date are no longer syntax highlighted. They're just regular text, but that still works because anchors is anchors. And so for expanded header, that's again only going to appear once. So let's cut that and paste it here. And we no longer need that variable, so that should bring those back once I include help header. And let's actually move it up like so. There we go. So that's doing what we want. And then this rule, rules always match. In all the rules in a context are always eligible. They're matched from the top down. So the first match in the list that matches is the one that gets used. Its order is important, if you remember when I was doing comments a couple streams ago, because the regular expressions for key bindings and for comments are somewhat similar, so we have to try comments first because they're more specific. And include grabs all of the rules out of that particular thing and inlines them directly at the include location. So first, that rule will apply, the help header, which matches if it matches the whole line, it has various captures in it, which hilariously are wrong for package dev purposes because that variable has captures in it and are being used here. And it sets body, which means the context is immediately swapped from main to body as the single element on the stack. The second rule is this one, which matches that, and if so, it has captures and pushes into header key pairs, which is this one, and anything that is not white space is illegal. And when we get to the end of the line, we set main. And setting main brings us back to here, and this match sets body. So it's interesting that I did that. I wonder why I didn't say set body. Does that still seem to work? It seems like it does. That's still variable because I needed it to be a different color, and it's still a date. That's still a link. Perhaps test that with a more robust file. I keep forgetting that that is, yeah, so that still seems to work. I'm going to say that that's a leftover of something funky I was doing. So let's just go ahead and keep it at that. Oh, and there's one other thing that I wanted to fix. Let's shrink that back down. For this, just for purposes here, I'm going to say toggle scope display. Did I have that in here? I do. If you saw my video on common questions on Sublime Scopes, you'll be familiar with this plugin. This is a modified version that applies the phantom underneath the current line instead of at the bottom of the file, because these non-test files are really big. And note here, this is something I noticed the other day that I should probably fix. These are meta.title, but so is all of this white space until we get to here, then those ones are blank, and then date. And the reason for that, if we look at help header, is this: start of the line, the anchor that is the current file, optional or non-optional one or more white space characters. That is what separates the anchor from this. That's why those are all not scoped. Then anything that we want, which is the title, then two or more white space. That's because the thing that generates the header makes sure there's always two spaces here so that we can capture the remainder of the line in whatever date format the user has specified and highlight it as a date. And this is matching everything, and it's being greedy, so it's capturing this white space and capturing it as the title. So what we really need to do is, I think I would put that in here perhaps, to make that star non-greedy, and that still works for that, but now meta.title disappears there. So it really is just the full title, which is what we want. And I think the same thing should be true in this file as well, which has got way more space in it. So that's something. Let's go ahead, and I think I should already have a branch for this. Yeah, well, let's rename the branch, shall we? From syntax, or rename the branch syntax tests to syntax tweaks, because we're not, I was doing testing, but now I've actually decided I at least want to do the cleanup and some other changes. So let's rename that. And we're going to go ahead and say, yeah, clean up the main context and add new headers. Header handle. No. As a, oops. This also modifies the regex for the title of the help page, and so that it doesn't include trailing white space, and removes some variables that probably don't actually need to be variables. Okay, and those three variables are gone and are inlined there. This actually is something I want to change. It doesn't need to be the rule can be an anchor, but the rules are actually more restrictive as far as the syntax is concerned for the header, because that's always going to be the name of a file. So it's not going to have some of the special logic, but that's something to not worry about right now. And yeah, we'll just stage that whole file and away we go. Now back to here. That's that part cleaned up. So what is a good thing to do here? Let's say that's comments. We'll move this down to here and say minus include comments. That still works. I suppose. Important to do that so we can see it, and go ahead and reload that page just so we can see that that comment went away. Actually, let's do that. Okay, there we go. Let's turn off the scope display for a second. That bumps the comments up into their own thing. Punctuation, definition, comment, begin, and comment block, and okay. And then the next one after that is key bindings. And for that, we can do this. And we'll go ahead and add one here. I don't know that this is necessarily something that shows up a lot. It's named key bindings because that's originally what I intended that for, so that you could show keys and have them marked up a special way. This is another example of a weird scope being injected and it changes the color. You can also use this for pretty much anything you want. I used it in Snappy to specify default arguments or optional arguments and things like that. So if I save this file, that's no longer a thing, but I can include key bindings and bring it back. And I think this is another example of there's only 2 of those. So let's go ahead and get rid of that and come on down to Funky Town. Whoops. Where key bindings are, and do that. That still works. Though there's a lot of those. Let's call this one, whoops, inline code block. And that is this one. Cut that out, drop it up in here. And again, that is, if there's a backtick, that is scoped as the definition punctuation of a beginning raw block. We add raw inline to it in this new anonymous scope where if there's another backtick, we pop out, otherwise it stays in. And that allows us to do code blocks like so. We can see they're highlighted like that. And again, when I save this file, that goes away. And then when I include inline code blocks, it comes back. And then we're going to say code block. And these, there are a lot of these. So let's say this is the one for JSON. This is the one for Python. This is the one for plist. This is the one for just generic. I don't know what the language is. All of those can come out of there, come into here. And an example of that is if there were 3 backticks and some text, and then 3 backticks, that may or may not actually be working. Oh, you know what? I don't know if I've tested any of those. That could be a syntax problem. If I do this and change this to, well, let's change this to print some text and make this in the same. Yeah, we don't need that one. So if this was Python, I think, oh, because I'm not including it yet, am I? No, I am including inline code. I'm not including inline code block. I just, yeah, okay. So that explains that. That and that are a code block. Okay, so, well, I really screwed myself over there for a second. This is just code blocks. Does that do anything? Did I really break it? Inline code block, code blocks. Did that work a moment ago? I would have thought that it did. Oh, did I not? I didn't pull all of the parts out. Oh. I think that should go there. Does that fix anything? Let's take that all back because I think I hosed something up there. Okay. All of that. Cut. When I save, I get an error, right? And if I do that, that puts them back. So the syntax is good. And then if I said include code blocks, but that's supposed to have a, were these in a different order before? Let's go to the Git, shall we? One unstaged file. Okay, comments, key bindings, inline code block is there. Yeah, so code blocks came after that. I really messed something up there. What the hell did I do? Oh, it has to come after. Okay, good, good, good. It's important. That makes sense. That, oh, no, that. There we go. Yeah, because of the way that works. And we can actually perhaps even fix that in just a second. Because if I do, so I have the build system set to automatic. Build with, build system automatic, yeah. When I run this syntax test, back references are unsupported. There's a couple of those, right? Block markup end has one, and is that the same thing? Yeah, separators need to be fixed anyway. So that, and that, and that. See, that's an example of a variable that's actually useful, I think. But I think that, no, huh? Is that not how you do that? Well, fine. 1, 2, 3. Illegal map value at line 17. Oh, right. That's not supposed to be there. Okay, so that actually would have worked. Let's take that all back. Take that out. There's one there that shouldn't be there too. I don't think. There we go. So that's something. And if I take out this comma, it still works, but now, oh, right, because that's not the block markup end. It doesn't need to be /1. It needs to be this. Okay, that still works. And now back references are only a problem there. Basically, the idea of that whole thing, and this is something I took from Markdown. In Markdown, there's 3 or more backticks that open code block, and however many you use to start is how many you have to use to finish. So that was using a back reference so that it could know when it went in on block markup, it would know where it matched. And then that's that one there. And then it could use that in block markup and to make sure that it matched the same number as it started. But as we can see, Sublime complains about that. As far as I can tell, and Keith thinks the same thing, my good pal Keith Hall. That's actually perhaps a bug in Sublime because it's saying that it fails compatibility test because back references aren't supported, but I think it's only supposed to display that if you use a regular expression that has a negative, look behind and not just referencing something. But we're going to fix that anyway. And I think as a result of that, those two things should still be variables. But as a result of that, I think that means that down in here, inline code blocks can now appear ahead of that, perhaps? No, still no, huh? All right. Say, because that code blocks has to match before that. So, well, those regexes might need some tweaking, but that is fine. Incidentally, I have a desire to. This uses Python for that, the default JSON syntax for that, the XML syntax for that other kind of different kind of file. JSON is the format that's used for a lot of Sublime resource files, so you can use that in your help to make the syntax highlighting work, but out of the box, the default JSON syntax doesn't provide a lot of syntax highlighting for things like key maps and stuff, but package dev has fantastic scopes and support for that. And it would be nice if instead of just JSON, you could say tick, 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 Sublime key map and have it use that syntax instead of JSON, but it could fall back to JSON. That's not technically possible because you can't have fallback things like that, but it's possible to have two different sets of syntaxes in the future and then use one or the other depending on whether or not package dev is installed. That's a feature for down the line when when HyperHelp can bootstrap itself into a dependency. Um, let's see. What's left? Links. Is there more than one of those? One, two. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut that, delete that, jump down to here and say links, and that's this with that match. That's working a little, better in this case. And that breaks links, but I can include links and bring them back. And here we'll do anchors and pull both of those to there. Now, I think I would suspect anchors would be broken because I pulled those out. Except that that one has its own specific rule because it's in the header. So that's not an anchor until I bring this back. So that's sort of what I would expect there. Minus include anchors, and it comes back. And here, this actually for right now needs to be a variable because it's used, that text is used there. And as such, hidden anchor, I'm going to leave as a variable as well for the time being. Both of these need to be greatly expanded out. And the last thing will be separators. And that is this. And we'll leave, whoops, holy crap, what did I do? So that breaks the header over there, but I can include separators and bring it back. I'm going to leave that as a variable for right now because it's fairly complicated, and that needs to be, I don't like that per se. this particular rule because it supports vertical pipes as well as dashes and equals. I like it for this and for doing headings, but for actual box drawing, I think I should probably use the Unicode box drawing characters or something. So that's a feature for another day. But I think already this is a little bit more, you look at it and you can see breakdowns of things. So I think on the whole, that's better. And I don't have any syntax tests, whoops, other than uh, this one that checks for compatibility because these scopes are nowhere near finished. And until I really sit down and clean that up, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So we're going to come over here and say clean up the remainder of the top level scopes. Similar to the previous commit, this does some general cleanup on the top level rules for the help markup so that it's easier to read and extend in the future. And so those variables go away. Comments, key bindings. Yeah, let's double check that. Main, yeah. Where's comments here? There. And body is at the bottom, including them all. Good, good, good. So let's stage that and go ahead and commit it. Now, let's look into stuff I was playing around with and testing the other day. Now, I need to be able to add meta.title to the symbol list. Just for my own edification here, that is a help header. That's this one. I think I can say 0 meta.help.header. And that just adds an overall metahelp header to everything in here. Let's go ahead and toggle scope display. So everywhere in here, this is metahelp header and title, and this is still header, and this is metadate in the header. The general reason I want that, besides the fact that I think it's a good idea, because that's a large structural element with subparts, so it seems like a good idea to have that there, is with the metahelp header here, it's possible to now target this first anchor in the file, the one that represents the source file in your color scheme, to make it styled different. I'm not going to do that right now, but we're going to just do that for now. And let's go ahead and toggle scope display off there. Now we need to be able to add the title. We need to add that to the symbol list. How do we do that? Let's see. That is a resource, but it's not a syntax, so it should be here. And I think we would call it something like symbol list doc, symbol list title dot XML. Oh, sorry, no, TM preferences. Sorry. Ooh, look at that. I must have done that right. So let's see. Is there a snippet for that? Oh, there is. That's swank. And let's see, it needs to be a plist that is version of 1.0, if I recall correctly. That could go like so, and it needs to be, whoa, right. It needs to be, you know what? I bet you package control or package dev may have had something for that already. New TextMate preferences file. Dang. Well, let's do that. Well, yeah, what the heck. For our purposes, and we'll save it as over top of that file that already exists. This one here. Yeah, replace that one. Want to reload it? Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and close that one. And let's see. The key name isn't that. We would call it something like symbol list document title. And let's see what the scope would be. Text.hyperhelp.help meta.title. Text.hyperhelp.help meta.title. And the setting I think is called show in symbol list. Yeah. Ooh, look, it totally knows what that's supposed to look like. I wonder. Look at that. Okay. Boy, that makes that a lot easier. I should probably stop trying to remember that. Let's see. We want that. Nope. You know, I probably shouldn't have messed with what the thing was doing. That dict is that dict. Key, value, key, value, key. The value is, oh, okay, yeah, I did need slash dict there, I assume. There we go. Okay, now, here we go. Document. I do not like that as an indent. So let's say convert the indentation to tabs and set the tab width to 2. Oh, that one was spaced and that one was tabbed. That is an unfortunate turn of events right there. Okay. Tab size to convert indentation to tabs, and then set the tab size to 4, and then convert indentation to spaces. There, I like that a little better. And to turn off word wrap. So that's going to make that go in there. And I think I also want symbol transformation. Well, okay, I think we need, how do you do a C data? Yeah, like that. Okay. Like so. And let's say we substitute the beginning of the string with that. And we substitute the end of the string with that. Will that do anything good? Okay. That's just sort of a placeholder for something that we're going to be fiddling around with in a minute. I don't know what the good markup for that is going to be. Now, that's for that. What we also want to be able to do in here, and we can go ahead and remove all of this stuff. is we want to be able to say level 1, level 2, level 3, and, you know, lorem those out like so. So that those should be implicitly treated as anchors for purposes of nav and whatnot, and also structurally defined so that they appear in this list. And man, I played around with this the other day. What do we? How did I do that? I think. You know what? Let's go ahead and commit that stuff right now. So the untracked file that is the symbol list title. Yeah, that's just a single file, and that, and then say include the page title in the symbol list. What did I actually do in the syntax again? Yeah, that's not strictly necessary, I don't think. Did I use it in here? Maybe I should. Let's go ahead and do that. Metahelp header. Just in case. Okay, because this can always be tweaked later, but for right now, forward defining the idea that perhaps we want to use meta.title for something other than the page title, and this will keep that working while we fix stuff up. So let's come back and restage that hunk. So that's staged, that's okay. So everything is staged. Syntax tweak to the header of the file to be better. That doesn't work there, does it? No. Better able to uniquely scope the title of the page along with a new preferences file that adds the page title to the symbol list. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to leave that open for the time being. Now, if I recall correctly, let's see. We would have a new thing named header anchors, let's say. Yeah, that makes sense. Now let's see. We want to match, whoops, a single one for level 1. Then that, make sure that there's only one and not any following it. Then any amount of white space we don't care about. And then everything like so. And the capture, the first capture is what? Punctuation dot anchor dot begin dot heading dot one, because I think those are punctuation anchor hidden, punctuation anchor. Regular anchors are punctuation anchor begin, so this is begin heading. It's specifically a level 1 heading. Okay. And then we want to set a new context where, whoops, metascope is what? Whoops, what is the difference between scope and metascope here in this case? Metascope assigns the given scope to all text within this context, including the patterns that push it on and pull it off, and meta content scope does the same, but only to the text that triggers the context, not to the stuff that, okay, so in that case, the meta scope for everything should be meta.heading.anchor, because that's the scope to all text in this whole thing, right? Yeah, so all anchors are anchors, and specifically the text inside the meta content scope is meta.anchor.heading.1 because it's a level 1. And what do we match here? One or more white space that we don't care what it is. Some number of hash characters. Yeah, that's right. Because we're doing the match that's going to leave. So after the text, and you know what, let's go ahead and for our own purposes, what this is supposed to do is this. Oh, we'll do it on this one instead. Level 1A, level 1B, and lorem that as well. The idea being that you're supposed to be able to include, if you want, hashes on the end, but we don't care how many there are as long as there's any. So we'll do that. And then any amount of white space, and then the end of the line with an optional new line just in case it's at the end of the document, I think is how that worked. And in there, the first capture is that one, and that's punctuation dot anchor dot end dot heading dot 1 and pop true. Okay, so that saves, but it has no effect on anything because we need to actually go into that. So we can go ahead and include meta. Oh, sorry, header anchors, not meta anchors. Header anchors. Did that do anything? Anything at all? Yeah, all right. Sort of looks like it did something. Yeah. They're not scoped in a way that the color can see them, but it is finding all of them when it's only supposed to find one, so that's possibly a problem. Oh, also there was another thing that I wanted to do here. Wait, did I not? Oh, I didn't save that file. Oh. So yeah, theoretically maybe that works, except it finds all of them. But the other thing that I wanted to be able to do is this. Oops, well, could have done that a little better, like so, and there. Just as an example, because I at least like to do that. That's not actually valid markdown, I don't think. So it still finds them. Is it supposed to be able to? Header anchors find. Oh, right. It's got to be anchored to the start of the line. No wonder that does that. That's just any hash that's not followed by another hash. So that works because it's there, but that one works because it's there. There was one extra part to that. I think I put it in here last time I did this, and then I push into header anchors instead of including it here, because it's all sort of part of anchors. And what was here? The start of the line, any amount of white space, not that. I think that's what I did. And if that's the case, then got to reload that. Start of the line, some amount of white space. Okay, for a hash, if that's the case, go into header anchors, where we match that, not followed by that, and a white space. Anything that's not white space. And set content. You know, the other thing that precludes is if this is meta.heading, meta.anchor.heading. Do anchors still work in this file? Because maybe I broke something. See, I would have expected that it be that color, because because it doesn't have string.unquoted in it like that one does. Huh. And what about that? Punctuation anchor begin. Punctuation anchor begin. But it also doesn't have string.unquoted in it. Is that something I really want to do here? Well, I guess if I did it for those, I have to do it for this one too, at least for the time being, right? So anything that was punctuation anchor begin gets string.unquoted. There, now. There, see that part's still broken. It's matching that one. It's always matching the last one. So this part is the part that's not working, I think. And let's see, this part, that's the body, that's applied to meta heading, or meta.anchor.heading. It's this one. The content scope should also have string.unquoted, so they appear as anchors. I don't know that that's actually strictly necessary. And this one has to have string.unquoted as well. So now the ones that end, and just for our own edification, doesn't matter how many there are, it still works. So the real question is, why is that doing that? The start of the line followed by 0 or more white space, followed by, does that not mean what I think it means? Let's go ahead and look that up. Regex, positive lookahead, type of zero width assertion. The captured match must be followed by whatever is within the parenthesis, but that isn't captured. Yeah, that's what I thought. So it has to be 0 or more white space followed by that. And by contrast, question mark, bang, not a not. Negative look ahead. For the expression to match, the part within must not match. So if this says the start of the string, 0 or more white space, and then the thing that follows has to be a hash character, and then it can go into header anchors, and the first thing in header anchors says that there needs to be a hash followed by not another hash. And how is that matching? Let's see. When it sees that, it pushes into header anchors where this match pops out. Oh, I wonder. Do I need... No. Is this because it's not escaping in one? No, it has to be escaping in one, right? Because this is regular help. This is one of those syntax things that makes me like sad, man. So sad. Maybe I need to relook at how this is working in Markdown in another window. I'm not still including that anywhere, am I right? Whoops. Just there, okay. If the start of the line, 0 or more white space, immediately followed by that, then push this, so it pushes header anchors where it says that not followed by more. I wonder. If I did this and said there should be 2 of them, and then changed all of those to dot 2, okay. So that fixes that, I guess. And now I need one for 3. Huh. Well, that's the thing that I never really had before. So that's 3, and then those are all 3. If I even need that to be scoped, to be perfectly honest. Now level 3 works. Just for my own edification. Scratch buffer markdown. Heading 1. Heading 2. These scoped in, oh, these might not be scoped in a way that's cool. Markup.heading.1, markup.heading.2, markup.heading. Oh. So what if I, oops, said like so. Okay, oh, actually, let's undo that for a second. So that's the way it looked. And if there was a level 4, that one's not help, and that one's scoped as 3. But if this, instead of that, was 3 or more, then anything more than 3 gets matched as 3. So that's probably what we want. Also, I think the rules in Markdown have this as a reusable context, which I'm not doing at the moment. But that is enough to get that working. If I, okay, let's remove that one for the time being and that one. So if I did that, I don't like that. There we go. Now it's finding 2, 3. That part's working. Okay, so let's leave that for the time being and save as this to symbol list headers, document list, section headers. And now that is what meta.heading now. Meta.heading.anchor. Yeah. So anything that's of type meta.heading include in the symbol list. So right away, yeah, 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then this rewrite thing needs to be more complicated. Crikey. Let's go ahead and do this. Markdown, TM preferences, symbol list, heading. These are the things I need. And okay, but I like 4. There we go. There's the page title and the various levels of headers. And you jump to that, it's actually scoping the whole thing. Do I necessarily want the whole thing scoped? I don't think I do. Maybe I want that to be meta.anchor.heading. Oh, right. Because meta anchor heading is only the anchor text and not the whole thing. So it needs to be meta.heading.anchor. Yeah. Okay, the other way. Kinda wish that it could only do the one, but I guess for the purposes of finding the place you want in the document, that's not that bad. It works this way. So that's probably what you want. I guess the other thing to note is, what the hell scope does this have? Punctuation definition heading begin. Oh, it must have markup.heading.to. That must be the magic of that. Well, we'll worry about that later, I guess. For now, it's enough to know that that works for our purposes. And I think we actually did, no, to there, to here, to, let's say, yeah, what file is this? General.txt. Okay, so there. So if I did an edit of general.txt, I could change this to that and add more of those. And that and more of those. That makes this part nicer anyway. And that. And there. One more. Man, there's a lot of these things. Okay, save, reload. Now, that still works for navigating through. I can see that that is, oh yeah, they're all top level, so that's somewhat anticlimactic. But you can see why I made this one have those dashes around it. It could say page colon or something, but I wanted it to be distinct from top level things. So that lets us go there, but I think also we should be able to follow this and get to the same place. Okay, so that's all working. We can tweak the scopes on that when we tweak other scopes. I'm going to guess probably this would be nicer as scoped differently than, and maybe this part shouldn't have that color, or it could have a different color for each of the levels. That's something to worry about later. For right now, this part works. So let's keep that. And again, that's not necessarily the greatest thing, but until I decide that I don't necessarily want those things scoped, I'm going to keep that, because I don't think, like I said, I think if we look at the syntax for Markdown that I originally based this off of, instead of matching on that, it includes a context that includes this rule and just does all of this for you. I wonder, you know, let's go ahead and look at that. Markdown syntax. I think they're ATX headers or something. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. ATX heading matches that. It includes heading terminator. There's two. Ah, there you go. That's something I missed. So that's nice. That's what I made it open-ended because I don't care how many there are. And 3 or more is 3. So I was on the right track there. But see, this all includes ATX heading terminator, which just says heading end markdown. So maybe the punctuations are beginning and ending and don't necessarily have the scope in them. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe it's not necessary to have anchor begin heading. It doesn't need the .1 on that one, then it also doesn't need it on that one, and that could be, yeah, you know what? Is there any point at which we care about finding that? Let's try this because we haven't committed it yet. Oh, you know what? Let's commit it and then we can revert it if we need to. Okay, so let's stage that file and stage that one as well, which is just that thing. Include a new type of anchor for headings. Oh, to the ATX style. There are 3 levels supported, and each level appears in the symbol list with a relative indent based on the level to provide an inline table of contents. Okay, now that we know that, we could say if we don't care about that, and we don't care about that, and we also don't care about that. That means that has no effect on this, I imagine. The heading beginning doesn't have it. Oh, right. I need to go way back, don't I? This one. So that was reloaded. That has it. Okay, so that begin heading doesn't have it and end heading does. So I think that means that I can say header anchor terminator. How is Markdown doing that since we're cribbing stuff? It just has that match. Okay, with a pop in it. That's good. Go back to there. So it just has this, which we're going to copy and put here. And fix the indent and that doesn't have a problem. And now, does this work? Nope. It's going to include header anchor terminator, let's say. Okay, so for the sake of argument, that has header 2 and that's still heading. So that works, and I can copy that line and replace that and replace that. And we'll just go ahead and test that with this. So 3 works, and any number of those still works. Okay. Oh, and well, let's go ahead and test that. Save, reload. Yeah, that's still good. It doesn't have that. So that's a little tighter in that regard. So let's come back here and stage and amend like so. It's still only the body of the thing. So that's good. That's a little tighter there as far as those rules are concerned. What else can we do here? Okay, let's call that good enough for that, and go back to this. If I do a lint on there, those anchors aren't in the help index, which is what I expect. And those are, so there's a couple of things we need to test here. Let's go ahead and redact this stuff out for now. Star ID1, some anchor text. Now, If I lint that, okay. So there's an example of that breaking. And I don't know if this is actually something that, yeah, okay. I was just curious about that. We need to swap to, let's go ahead and close both of those files. For now, it's not in, oops, there at all. Close Snappy and HyperHelp. Go into the authoring tool here. Now, I have not looked at this code in a long time. Linter base, okay. Get lint file, format lint, display lint, missing anchor linter. Find by selection meta link, comma, meta anchor. Oh my goodness. That's more complicated than it needs to be. Let's handle, okay, anchor ID some text is not in the thing. So that's this one. Link equals subster pos. Man, yeah, see, let's go ahead and close that. Double check this. Missing help source. Help files are missing. Wow, I really condensed this down to a single tiny class. Go me. So find all of the links, find all of the anchors. For pos in, link equals, get the link with the, yeah. If lookup help topic is not none, continue. Oops. Oh, right. I suppose the magic of this is something can either be a link or it can be an anchor. Text can't be both. So if it was a link and it successfully looked it up, then it doesn't need to check to see if it's an anchor. So let's worry about anchors first. Anchor %s is not. So that's all of the help topics in the current file. To find all links that are currently broken. Okay. Really, it seems like there should be more of those. Let's double check this thing. No, that's really it, huh? Let's see. Update header, create help, edit help, create index, edit index, reload help, reload index, lint. Okay, so it's definitely there. And let's go ahead and zoop that out, close that down. Okay. Produce an array of tuples, type file line. So the linter base, lint file. Add. Okay. Add index results. Can lint. Missing link anchor, missing help site. Oh, there you know. get lint file. This is what you do when you don't want to create a text command, or you can't create a text command. That's okay. Format lint. Linting in help package user. Hey, okay. So display in the given window. Missing. So yeah, this is really just all it. We're not worried about that. So we're worried about this. So it gets a list of all of the topics in the package that's being linted. It finds all of the links. It finds all of the anchors. It links, iterates over them. It extracts the text of them, which is the text of the anchor and the text of the link. And then if it can look up the help topic, if then look up help topic returns none, it doesn't care about this one. That means it was a link. It looked up, everything's good. If it's that returns none, then if the beginning position is right. I see how clever this is. Okay. Follow along with this one. Various people probably already figured this out long before me. The text can either be a link or an anchor. It can't be both. And in either case, the text is used to always be a topic ID. So if it can look up that, then it's either a link that's linking to something that is valid, in which case it's fine, or it's an anchor that can't be found, or that can be found, so it's fine. But if that's not the case, then magic stuff has to happen here. And it assumes that it's an anchor. It assumes that it's a link that referencing an unknown anchor unless the selector at the beginning of that is anchor, in which case it's an anchor that's not in the index instead of a link that references an unknown anchor. And then it can add a warning there. So this is complicated by the fact that parse anchor body can return two things. It's going to be an ID. So this actually needs to be slightly smarter about what it's doing. But they do both need to have a lookup. What's a clever way to pull that off? Let's go ahead and shrink that down and bring that back temporarily. I'll leave that open. Is it in core.py, those things? Yes, it is. Okay, we'll bring that down here. So we need to say from hyperhelp.core input that, and from hyperhelp.core import parse, what the heck's the thing called? Oops. Parse anchor body, parse link body. And it reloads, so that part's good. Anchor body is going to give us either that, oh, that was something I wanted to look up too. Let's bring that back up. And anchor body is always going to return the topic ID and the text. So we really only care about the first return value of this thing, and the second return value can go away. And here it returns none. That's the second one. The first one's the package. The second one's the topic ID. The third one's the text. If there's more than three, then that. Otherwise, none. Okay. So it needs to know if it's a link so it knows if it needs to look up different help information. Ah, boy, this is complicated. So let's worry about anchors first. And this will be one of those things where we make it work and then see if we can condense it down into something nice. Oh, wow. Okay. Let's bring that back down. I think I zoomed that in a way I didn't intentionally, or I did not recover from my zoom properly. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we're gonna do, whoa, that's too far. There, and if we lint, oh, they can't do it in that one, it has to be in the source. So let's close that file, bring this one up here, close that one. So this is the one that we would lint, and we get that warning. Now, let's say def lint anchor anchor body. Now here we could say if view match selector that, then we can self dot lint anchor in this view for view dot subster pos. Otherwise, do that. And I think as a result of that, if we lint here, the anchor warning went away. So let's go ahead and just temporarily change that to pass and do that. So now, when I reload that and lint this file, the only thing we see is that. And we can also, we should be able to say build, which is an anchor that exists. What this linter isn't checking is that this topic exists in the correct file, so that might be something to worry about. So if I lint that, whoops, if I was in the source where I already said it is necessary and I lint that, we get no warnings. And for our own purposes, let's say print anchor body. And it linted build and that. So that is doing what we want. So what would we do? We would say topic. You know what? You know what I don't fully recall? Okay, that's probably going to break. From hyperhelp.core import parse anchor body. Now if I said parse anchor body 1:2, I did that. Now if I said x is equal to parse, if I said x is equal to that, x ends up being a tuple. Okay. So I do have to, okay. Good. Topic, comma, text is equal to parse anchor body for anchor body. Anchors always have to exist in the current package. So I can say if lookup help topic and self.packageInfo, which is the current package for topic, is none, then self.add view, say that's a warning. Oh, I need the file name too. Dang. And we'll just pass it that then. We'll call it with pos. And we'll change this to view.subster region. And then we'll rename region to be pos so that this part is easier. Pos.begin is the location where it starts. And the message is blah. And lint add missing one required positional argument. Self.add view warning file name. I said I needed to add it and then didn't add it. Okay. Lint at 5.2 blah, but only at 5.2, which means that it linted build successfully, and that one it didn't, which means if I changed this to build and linted, I get no errors. So that's good. So we're going to try that to begin with. Whoops. So that is solving the first of those lint problems. Okay. If it's not none, then it can return. Okay, there we go. So that should still do the same thing. It's still saying blah there, because if it's going to parse the body and look up the topic and got an answer, there's that. Okay, so here's something else we have to do. Info is equal to that. Index info is equal to that, and this is index info, and okay, so that's getting the text, that's looking it up. We're going to print index info like so, and lint this buffer, and there's one warning for blah because that's not there. And if I look here, it found the topic build in the file index.txt. So it looked it up, and there it returned none. So that one's the problem there. Here, we're going to say this. If the index is not none, then it looked something up. And in that case, we can say if, oh, I don't know what the file name is here. Because the file name, okay, the file name is that. So that seems like what we want. So we can say that if the index info is not none, it looks something else. But in that case, if index info file is not equal to file name, then self.add view. I don't know if that actually works, you know. File name at pos.begin. This is bad. I don't know what that should actually be. And then it doesn't need to continue because it actually found the link. So we just need to verify that it's not hoopty. So that reloaded. So now when I do this, I get an error on line 3, column 2, because build is defined in the wrong file. And here, okay, let's do this. The topic %s is in the index in file %s, and we're going to blend that with topic and index info file. And that's really long. And I think we need another one of those, but not that one. So now the topic build is in the index in file index.txt. Less bad. And then we return right now. Here's something else I wanted to say, and we're going to test this here too. We're going to say none, and we're going to say test. If I lint this, I should see blah, blah, blah. Okay. Blah is what? Blah is this. That mod topic. Okay, so let's dump that down to the next line. Like so, and linting. ID1 isn't in the index, none is not in the help index, test is not in the help index. Okay, now here's my theory. I want to be able to create anchors in help files that don't necessarily link to anything, just solely because you might want to have them like this as a point you can jump to with the cursor, or even if it was a header like that, which is actually something that we should add to this test file. So I'm going to say none sample level 1 and reload. That worked. And there's sample level 1 there. So we might want to do that while we're in this file, but we don't actually want to link to them. And we'll see that the linter is complaining about those things. So what we would say is this. If we get to this part, then this anchor doesn't actually exist in the help index, so that's bad. But if the topic starts with an underscore, then it's going to be a magic topic. And I have made the unilateral decision that topic IDs that start with an underscore are reserved for hyperhelp use, just to make sure they don't collide, because I want at least one. I want none. And I might want others. I might want the special anchor ID of underscore talk or underscore table of contents to do something special when you follow a link. I got to make sure no one's going to actually define one of those in their help file. So if the topic starts with an underscore, then if topic is equal to none, then just return, do nothing. None is the special topic ID that is something that's not in the index and it's not linked. So now when I lint this, those none ones go away. But otherwise, I can say self.add view. This will be a warning in file name in pos.begin. Reserved topic ID %s used as an anchor ID. And then we will mod it with topic. And we need to return there as well, because if that's the problem, then we don't need to worry about anything else. And then lastly, it's not found in the help index. So now we get an error because build is in the index and file index.txt, but this is the file test.txt. We get a warning that anchor ID 1 isn't in the help index. We don't get warned that _none isn't in the index because we've been told to skip it. And we are getting told that the reserved topic ID of _test is used as an anchor ID at this location. And that would tell us we should probably not do that. And we'll go ahead and redact that out. Now, I think that means I can do that, uncomment that theoretically. We want that. We don't need this because now we're handling anchors specially up there. And then we still want that. And now when we lint the file again, we also get all of those things like that that are unknown anchors. Okay, so we also then want to say def lint link or self view file name pos. And we want to zoop that out and put it here and dedent it and self.lint. Well, you know what? That. So that is unhappy. Oh, right, because of this. If looking up the link doesn't do anything, then just return. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so lint, and that is still doing what we want, as much as it's broken. The thought occurs that, for one thing, I don't need to find this and then that and then check if I'm going to do them as two separate things. Then that doesn't make any sense. So let's go ahead and say for pos in view.find by selector meta.anchor, do lint the anchor at that position, and then for pos in view.find by selector meta.link, lint the link at that location. That looks cleaner and still seems to do stuff. Yep, that still works no matter how many times I reload it. Whoops. I really want to do this because I don't like that. Nope, but I can't do that. If we looked it up and it's not the file, complain, but otherwise it's not a problem. So that's good. I can return that one and then make those tighter. So let's see. We definitely have to get the topic and the text out of there. We definitely need to look up the help topic. If it's not none, then this. I wonder why. In add, oh, I did. What the hell am I doing it that way for? I should be able to do this. Is in the index, yeah, so that's still, topic build is in the okay, so we can do that. Is defined in another file. And the other file is that. Maybe that looks nicer. The topic build is defined, oh, is defined in another file, index.txt, yeah, okay. Lint. The topic build is defined in another file. Okay, I like that. I like that. I don't need to do that. So that can go away. And that has to be at the end there now. The topic ID %s is reserved for internal use. That looks not too bad. The topic build is defined in another file, index.txt. Anchor ID is not in the help index. Let's see. Was not found in the help index. And the topic ID underscore test is reserved for internal use. Okay. That's, well, I mean, it's not great, but we have a lot of stuff we need to do. So let's go with that. We're going to say link body is that. And then we're going to say something that's not that. Let's see. Package topic text is equal to parse link body. Link body, like so. Now, the first thing we need to say is that if topic is none, then self.add in this view as an error in file name at pos.begin, the message malformed link that, and we will include the link body. So there's not an example of that in here, I don't think, but there should be and there can be. And we can say, how do we go to malformed link? If we said, hi there, I would have thought, oh, because it needs to return. Well, in the sense of everything, We'll do it that way because that's what it was doing up there. But I don't really like doing that. Okay, now, does that have any effect on anything? No. There it is. Global name link. Oh, there's something wrong with it. I do still need that to be a return. So if I did this, what am I getting? If lookup help topic link is not none. Oh, right, because this should be topic. Stub mod topic, let's say. Yeah. How about that? Should pay more attention to the console. There we go. Link references unknown anchor threading topic ID and example. See, just like that, all of those other warnings went away. So now we're finding malformed links. Which is what we want. Now that's still not 100% correct because it needs to be looking in other packages. See, oh yeah, which is that? Unknown anchor threading is actually an anchor that is valid. It's just in another package. It's not in this package. Topic ID and example are, in fact, bust, though. So if the topic is none, that link is 100% malformed. Maybe that looks nicer. Malformed link, not enough colon characters. Hide there. Okay, that's pretty much the only way that that can be the case, because if there's none, it works. If the link was to build, then the lint would work and it wouldn't complain about anything on line 13. The line is still on 14, and if I do that, now the lint error changes to 13 and not 14. So that one's actually valid, so that's okay. Now we got to do this. If package is none, oh no, link package is equal to self.package. Is that what I've been calling it all this time? Where was it actually used? Self.package info. If package is none, else okay. The link package is the package here if the package specified is none, else lookup help. Oh, help index list dot get package. Say, now that's long, but it'll do. Print link package, and if I lint and check the console, woo, mad. Why is that mad? Invalid syntax, is that self dot, oh, self.package if package is none. Whoops, there we go. Oh, and yeah, don't do that. There we go. Now, if I lint, ooh, look at all the crap. Link package dot. The hell's the name of the thing? There are a lot of links in here, man. Too far. Reloaded, reloaded, broken, 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 fixed, still broken, still broken. Oh, look, I fixed it. Okay. Package. Could have guessed that, I suppose. None type. Oh, because it looks up as none sometimes. Ah, okay, well, that must mean it's working. Now, if link package is none, then we can say self.add view. Now, is it an error to create a link to a package that's unknown? I mean, it's not an error in as much as the link you can still double click the link and if the package was ever installed by the user. But let's go ahead and call it an error. In file name at pos.begin. And we're going to say link references a topic and then non-existent package %s bang, and it is link package. No, it's not. It's package and return. Otherwise, print link.package. Okay, now the linter is giving me an error because there's not enough things there, and this link references a topic in a non-existent package, some other package. Well, you're right, there is no package, some other package, so that works. Otherwise, we saw Sublime API and a bunch of user. Okay, so that part up there, though long, is working. Let's do there, there. Not that one, but that one, and go package. Yeah, look at that. Now it's all on one line. Yay! Otherwise, it needs to look up stuff in link package for that topic. And if it's not none, return. Otherwise, and we don't need to do this business. We never actually needed to do it before, I don't think. That might have just been an artifact of something that used to be there. That loads. And what do we got for linty action now? The topic build is defined in another file. Anchor ID was not found in the help index. The topic ID test is reserved for internal use. Malformed link, not enough colon characters. Link references a topic in a non-existent package. And link references unknown anchor example, which is what it used to display before. And I got 46 seconds, so let's go ahead and call that some sort of win for this evening. It's actually not too shabby. We'll go ahead and close that out. Now this does need some cleanup. Well, you know what? The timer's going to go off, but let's just go a couple minutes longer here because if we view this file as it's changed, yeah, okay. Oh, there's the timer. There's the 2 hours. This topic was not found, and if I linted it, did I get? Oh, I can't do it there. For the thing, hi there. Yeah, that's the one that's malformed, right? Yeah, and it shows up as underscore broken in the thing, which is one of those enhanced things. Missing external link. Some other package wasn't known. That's right. Oh, actually, I can go ahead and go down here and open the hyperhelp author lint so we can actually refer to these things. So first, that topic is defined in another file. You're right, it is. Not found, ID1 is not in the help index. That is correct. None is totally a valid thing. Underscore test is a problem, and that's this one. Underscore none is cool. That link on line 13 is broken because it's malformed. This link works. It links to the Sublime API documentation. This one doesn't. On line 24, that one doesn't work because some other package is not installed, and we see that here. Link references a topic on a non-existent package. So that's good. This is a missing thing. This is in the current package, so the error is that the topic example isn't in the current package, which is referenced right here. That actually is a valid thing because it'll go to the appropriate file. And that's to the header in the file, so that works. Arithmetic.py. Now this, okay, that, oh, my puppy's barking out there. That's a very naughty boy. This is technically broken because the package file that it references is not valid. So now, in a perfect world, I suppose the linter could also chase down these links to see if they're a 404 error or something. Don't know how useful that is in the general case. Certainly, I don't want to be spawning a bunch of web connections. But we can detect this theoretically because that's doing it. So that's actually looking up. So if it was linting a link, that's in here. It was found. Now I'm going to jump to events in hyperhelp and bring that down here just to look at. We can close core because we don't care. Because this is where the hover pop-up is defined. Close that for a second and bring that up. Where is it? Up here. If I need to print the topic in that case. Whoops, undo that. Let's just double check this. On hover, leave if it's not hovering on text, get the default package if we can't find it or it's not on a link, go away. Get the topic by extracting the scope to get the link information, and if there isn't any, go away. What is that actually doing? Oh, right. Yeah, this is an internal function I created that actually uses the scope of the thing to figure out in that new setting that I talked about at the beginning of the video. That's good. Okay, then we get the default package, or the package out of the thing and the topic out of the thing. If it's not found, leave. The topic is none. Look up the topic. The link is the file. Now, where the hell does the file come from? The actual file. So let's say we print, did I look it up anywhere? This is a link, right? Oh, it has to capture that value. Right, just like it did for the anchor. It needs to do this, but with the whole thing. We'll grab that and we're going to copy it down here, but we're going to use that instead of this. And then this can be index info. And I think that should still do what we want without generating any errors. In the source file, man, follow my own rules. New view into, no, lint help file. Okay, and it printed a bunch of blank lines. So that's doing what we want. We want to print index info file. And I'm going to go ahead and lint again. We can see in the console that it linted something that, so yeah, that is there. So that does work the way I thought. If index, no, we're going to say file equals index info file. And then we're going to say if file in link package dot, how'd I do it here? Can't remember. Package info dot package files is what I did, right? That one right there is in link package dot package files and not Sublime find resources file. Oh no! Then there's magic here, and we're going to say self.add view warning in file name at pos.begin with the message link references a non-existent package file %s, and we're going to pass file and return. No, we don't need to do that. We're going to return no matter what, like so. So look up the topic. If it's not none, it was found. So get the file. If that file happens to be in the package files and it's not a current resource, then add that warning and then leave. If it's not in that, then don't do that and just leave. So I think that should display index is not defined. Well, I'm not surprised. Now there's a warning that the link references a non-existent package file. Yeah. That is some pretty swanky lint action. So let's go ahead and commit that bad boy. But let's go ahead and change to hyperhelp author. Okay, so 4 unstaged files. We had to include that so we could parse. I buy it. We took a bunch of the code. We took these simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines out and replaced it with a whole pile of crap. I buy it. Sorry, I bumped the microphone while I was scratching my chin. I buy that we did that, and we don't care about that or that. Those are some unrelated changes. But linter.py, that part is staged. So let's stage the rest of linter.py like so. And now we're going to leave the key map alone and that key map and that key map. And we just have linter. And just to verify, We're verifying anchors and links separately because there's more logic to each of them than just that version. And this does not look particularly Pythonic to me, but maybe we could factor it out later into multiple tests. Um, this is good enough now because the main goal was to set this up so that I can start using some of the new help things to rewrite existing help files and use that as additional testing. So I'm going to go ahead and say and enhance linting to work with new anchors / links. A recent change to hyperhelp and how links and anchors work allow for them to have different topics than their visible text, and in the case of links, to link to topics in other packages. The linter was still naively using the text of the link / anchor to do the lint, so this has been modified. In addition, there are some new linting rules in place to catch things like links to missing packages, malformed links, and links to missing package files. Most of these internally. In the link hover pop-up, so it seems like a good idea to also support them for linting as well. And commit one file. And that is pretty sweet. I'm going to go ahead and push this to master, and I'm going to push it to GitHub. And syntax tweaks I'm going to leave for myself until I have done a bit more testing with them using that new linting code. The linting actually being broken isn't the greatest thing in the world because it's not really central to anything. But everything up to this commit includes all of the stuff I did, and it is pushed up to GitHub. So if you're following along with videos or you just want to look at all of that code, and I think there's a lot of hover fixes, link twixes, code restructuring. I think this was probably link extensions. Those are links. These are commits from the last live stream. All of those commits were changing post processing. This was changing link settings, and this was fixing hovering. So I see I made quite a few changes. Those are all public, and those changes make those changes to the linter more useful if you happen to be using the package. So I'm going to push those, but I'm going to leave these changes here. Those scopes still need tweaking and so forth. But I'm pretty happy with that overall. And I suppose now that I've pushed it for my own purposes, if I was to lint this file, what do I see? Oh, why does that not work? Link references a non-existent package file, huh? Are you sure? Because I bet you it doesn't. Did I do that wrong? Okay, that's example plugins. So uh, eh? Well, there appears to be a bug in that code too, so that's handy because I'm pretty sure that works just fine. Well, I'm going to deal with that perhaps in the next live stream. Thanks for coming along for this one. We got a lot of good work done here. I wish I had noticed that that was broken before. Unless I just recently broke it today. So that's always possible. I'd like to thank you for watching the video. Remember, the next live stream will be November 1st. That's a Thursday, this upcoming Thursday at the same 8 o'clock time. Probably still working on HyperHelp related things. I do have that other thing that I want to work on, which is the ability for HyperHelp to bootstrap its own color scheme based on your existing user color scheme for use when it actually becomes a dependency that has to bootstrap itself out into a package to make itself visible to the system. But I still got to do some thinking on that. I'm not entirely sure that what I want to do is technically feasible. But that is going to be the next stream, and then we are going to go after this Thursday every Sunday and Wednesday for the remainder of November, transitioning into one stream a day every day for December when we work on something Sublime Text related as my Devember project. And you can expect as that date gets closer, at least 1 or 2 days before a non-live video or perhaps a live video, who knows, will pop up on the channel because part of Devember, if you don't know what it is, requires you to quote unquote write a contract with yourself. Um, Basically, normally what you would do is sign a pact with yourself that you're going to code for 1 hour every day as a minimum, make the code publicly available, and write a blog post. And I've been doing it for years. Writing blog posts is a real butt because it's hard to come up with anything new and exciting. But what we can do is do a live stream, and then I can type the code up, leave the live stream record up, and Bob's your uncle. And so I do still need to announce the project and make that pact. That'll be a video that comes out before December, but the project is most likely going to be something Sublime package related. I have a couple of ideas I'm kicking around of projects that I've had on the back burner for a while that it might be fun to experiment with during November, and maybe something will come of it, maybe something won't. Until the next live stream, uh, you can continue to monitor this channel or my other channel, OdatNurd. Links to both those channels down in the description area below for more live stream videos or more Sublime Text videos in general. Subscribe if you're interested in those. Use the bell notification icon to be notified when things happen. And until the next time, have a sublime day.